The purpose of our organization is to show that there were no Muslim hijackers at the controls of the 9/11 aircraft, but that the aircraft were electronically hijacked and remotely controlled through employment of a system called the uninterruptible autopilot that enables a remote source to take complete control of the aircraft autopilot and flight management computer and fly it to its designated target, whether that be another airport or into a building. Now, once this system is engaged, the pilots can't disconnect it. And one of the goals of our organization has been to recruit highly trained and experienced pilots, both active and retired military or civilian pilots from around the world, who will attest to the fact that not only could the hijackers not have flown the flight profiles, but they could not have flown them themselves. So we've got video interviews on our website you can look at under pilot interviews. But some people are challenged to believe that a large commercial jet could be remotely controlled. Well, if you look at the remote control of aircraft, the history, it goes back 80 years to 1944, toward the end of World War II, when the U.S. Army Air Corps launched Operation Aphrodite in Europe and the UK, to be specific. What they did was they gutted out old B-17s to lighten the weight of the aircraft and loaded them with 30,000 pounds of Torpex, which was an incendiary compound. And pilots were required to make the takeoff, but once they got airborne, these aircraft were remotely guided to targets in Europe. So this was 80 years ago this technology was available. And this is one of the first examples of a military drone aircraft. But we could cite a bunch of examples, but due to time constraints, I'll just give you one more. In 1984, 17 years before 9/11, NASA and the FAA conducted a joint crash test experiment in a remote location where they took a huge Boeing 720 commercial jet aircraft, loaded it up with with cameras and crash dummies, because they wanted to test crew and passenger survivability in the event of a crash landing. They flew this aircraft by remote control around the pattern several times before intentionally crash landing it. So if you jump ahead to the early to mid 90s, is when we can start talking about the uninterruptible autopilot system. The Wikipedia article, if you just Google uninterruptible autopilot, you get it. But if you want to be more specific, Boeing, Honeywell, uninterruptible autopilot, this Wikipedia article pops up. It's not all that long, but it's somewhat misleading. It does state that its purpose is to prevent would-be hijackers from commandeering a commercial jet aircraft in flight by remotely taking control of it and flying to one of many airports in the world to autoland it. So if you stumbled across this article, it goes on to say it was patented in 2006, 5 years after 9/11. That's the misleading part, because we've had informants come forward and say, whoa, wait a minute, this system was developed and produced in the early to mid 90s, and we know that this technology has been undergoing development for decades.
Bueno.